Hello again, everybody, and welcome to part 2 of our screencast hybrid class for this evening. In part 1, I talked about the differences between summary and synthesis, and I also walked you through the Google Slides presentation about literature reviews. As I was walking you through that presentation, I mentioned something called a literature review synthesis matrix, which is really going to function as the major pre-writing step to your literature review. And trust me, the word synthesis matrix is really a lot fancier and more complex than it actually is. Because at the end of the day, it's really just going to be a graphic organizer. And as you'll see, this is what it looks like. It should be very similar to some of the graphic organizers you've seen in class with me or in other classes. This document can be found under the Content tab in our Blackboard site if you click into the subfolder called Research and Literature Review, and you'll look for the document titled Literature Review Synthesis Matrix. All right. Once you click into that document, though, you'll notice that there's a big blue button over here on the side of the screen that says View Only. And I did that only because I don't want anyone to accidentally type into the master copy and mess up the formatting or mislead anybody else. So what you're going to have to do is go into File, make a copy, and follow the steps. All right. Keep in mind that your completed synthesis matrix is going to be due as a hard copy in class on Wednesday, so our next meeting, the 13th. Okay. I prefer if you type into it because it'll make it a little bit neater rather than printing it out and handwriting it, especially because as you type, the boxes will get bigger depending on how much information you need. Although, a nice hint, if you notice, I have the font set to 12. You might want to put it to like something like 8. That way you can fit more in that box, but it's up to you. All I ask is that it's Times New Roman and not some crazy font like whatever caveat is, like nothing crazy. Alrighty? So, what are you going to do with all this? As you'll notice on the left-hand side, it says source, last name, and first initial. And if you scroll down, you'll notice there are 8 boxes. One box for each of the 8 sources that you were supposed to upload to your Google Drive folder. And as I said before, I'll be getting to those a little bit later tonight, and I will have my comments to you, if any, by next class. Okay? So you're going to use all 8 of your sources, and then what your job is going to be is to reread those sources. Start taking notes about them if you have not done so already. And you want to start identifying common themes in your sources. So what do I mean by that? Themes can be anything like perhaps 3 or 4 different sources all are pro-organic food, whereas 2 of them are against organic food. Perhaps another theme might be something like authors defining the term organic food in similar ways. Or maybe they're offering similar solutions for how we can get more people to buy into organic produce, or how we can make organic food and organic produce more accessible to people who are not in the upper socioeconomic classes. So a theme really can be anything that you sense is similar among your sources. So you're going to identify what the themes are up here in each of those boxes, and they're color-coded to help you kind of organize your ideas. So you want to have 4 distinct themes, all right? What you're going to do in each of the boxes under each theme is you're going to provide evidence from each source that shows how that source relates to that common theme. So say I have an article from The Atlantic by Megan Garber, because she's one of the journalists that I'm familiar with from The Atlantic. She's your first source. What you're going to do is figure out which of the themes does her article relate to. Once you have that figured out, you want to type in quotes or paraphrases from her article that relate to each of those themes, okay? You don't have to do any kind of analyzing or interpretation. You're really just going to put the name of the author over here, and you're just going to type in some direct quotes. Alrighty, so try to make sure that the quotes are accurate. And you're going to repeat that process for your other 7 sources. Now, if you scroll to the bottom, I have this note, which I hope alleviates some of the confusion or frustration about this particular assignment. You should try your best to connect each source to each theme. However, I understand that maybe certain ones just don't fit with a theme. As a result, I would say you should use each source for at least 2 of the 4 common themes. What that means is, say we're going back to the Megan Garber example, and you've reread her article multiple times, and you really only see connections between her article and 2 of the themes. That's totally fine. I've built into this assignment some wiggle room. That way you don't feel obligated to kind of stretch the information in the articles or sources that you're using. Because remember, a huge part of information literacy, which is core value number 4, as well as ethical writing, which is core value number 5, is you don't want to misrepresent what someone says in a piece of writing. So my fear was, if I was making you connect every source to every theme, you might be tempted to cherry pick certain things that just don't make sense in context. So at the end of the day, you want to use each of your 8 sources for at least 2 of the common themes that you have listed in your matrix, okay? Obviously, you are welcome to fill in more. So if Megan Garber genuinely relates to all 4 themes, excellent. Please fill those in, all right? Because the better you complete this matrix, the better your literature review will be, because it will eliminate you having to go back to your sources later on, scramble to find some information, and then cobble something together in a body paragraph. So I created this not as busy work, so please don't think of it that way. I really think that this will be a valuable tool in you helping to organize your thoughts. So when it comes to grading it, what I'm going to look for is, do you have common themes, all 4 of them? Did you properly list your authors on the left-hand side here? And does each author connect to at least 2 of the themes on this page? Alrighty. I will give you more information about grading it once I receive all of them from you on Wednesday of this week. And as always, please do not struggle on your own. Try to reach out to someone in class, and then if they can't help you, please reach out to me via email. But because we didn't meet in class today, I've built in another layer of support for all of you. So what you're going to do is, once you've viewed the first video and this one, you're going to go to Blackboard. You're going to go to Content. You're then going to go to the discussion board. You'll see that I posted a new thread right here that says Response to 211 class materials. All right? And then I've given you an explanation of what I will expect you to all do. So you're going to do 2 things, and both of those things are going to be related to a grade. Alrighty? So your first task is to create a paragraph-long response that does any and all of the following. It can describe how you understand the content and assignments that I described in these videos. You can ask questions about the content or the assignments, or you can describe any roadblocks you've experienced thus far as you've begun your research. And this is your way of really interacting with your peers on a somewhat more personal basis, although you're doing it over the computer and not face-to-face. So not ideal, but I want all of you to start thinking about, what are other people in this class struggling with? How do they understand what's happening? And I'm hoping that this can kind of generate a dialogue that helps all of us in the long run. So your initial response, which is your paragraph-long response, is going to be due by 11:59 tonight, okay? So even though we canceled class, I want to make sure that you are doing the work related to the lesson, okay? It's not meant to feel like I'm punishing all of you because I canceled class, but I want to make sure that we're staying on track, okay? So once you post your paragraph-long response, I'm then giving you a little bit of turnaround time to do one other thing. You're going to reply to one post from another student and, in 3 to 4 sentences, respond to their ideas, questions, or challenges. So if you feel like you really understand this assignment and one of the students in the class is like, what the heck is happening? I have no clue. I hate this guy. Everything he says makes no sense. Maybe you can step in before I get there to say, I have a good idea of what's going on. I'm going to explain it for you. Or maybe you have a similar question and you can say something like, well, this is kind of how I was interpreting it. So maybe that helps the other person. Maybe it helps you. Who knows? But your response is going to be due by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, which is tomorrow, okay? So I'm not going to grade the whole discussion board until I see everyone's responses by 5 p.m. tomorrow, okay? So please try your best to respond respectfully and fairly to your peers. If you disagree with someone's question or you're like, I don't understand how you don't understand, then just respond to somebody else. I don't want anything to feel combative. I don't want anyone to feel defensive, anything like that. What I will say, though, is if other people have already responded to certain students, please try to avoid commenting on those posts, because I really would like, ideally, everyone to have at least one reply. Obviously, though, if it's getting down to the deadline and you can't find anyone else's post that has 0 comments, then, of course, you are welcome to comment on one that already has some comments. But do your due diligence and figure out, okay, this person hasn't gotten a response. Even though it might be similar to someone else's post, please be cordial to that person and be that one who gives them a response. Him or her a response. All right. So again, you're going to work on this literature review synthesis based on your 8 sources, and I will be in touch with some feedback about your sources in your Google Drive folders between today and Wednesday. Okay. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Otherwise, good luck, and I look forward to seeing all of you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.